Hooray! So welcome to our 5K Masterclass, where I'm going to show you what it takes to create, I was going to say 5K, but also I'm also thinking that when I bring our guest on, it makes 5K seem paltry. But the truth is, it's about making the money that means something to you. It's about whatever that figure is that means progress to you. Now, I just speak to a lot of people, and what I hear from a lot of people is that if you were able to make 5K consistently per month, that would make a huge difference. For some of you, it's 5K a week consistently, seriously. So look, it doesn't matter what the figure is for you. Don't worry about comparing yourself to anybody, because the guest I'm going to bring on made 25K in 2 weeks. Now, by anybody's standards, that's pretty damn impressive. 52K in 6 weeks. So please do not think, well, that's not me. That doesn't relate to me. That's not the sort of figures I could contemplate, or maybe it is. But either way, the strategies are exactly the same. So whatever increase you're looking for, these strategies are absolutely 100% guaranteed to work if you work them, right? Like anything. So without further ado, let me just get to this. And I'm going to bring on, let me just do a little mute all thingamy-dingamy there. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Beautiful, beautiful. And then I'm going to invite Ms. Lindsay Bennett to come to the screen. Lindsay, are you there? Could you come to the stage? Ms. Lindsay Bennett. Have we got you there, my darling? Speak.
I'm here, yeah?
Excellent.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're in the gallery today.
I am. I'm opening the door at 10:30, so I need to be
my
here.
Lord. So we got to talk fast. Okay. So, okay. All right. We'll talk slower. So first of all, the gallery looks sensational. So tell us where the gallery is. Enjoy a shameless plug for your beautiful gallery.
The gallery sits on the River Tay in Newport-on-Tay, which is about 5 minutes from Dundee in Scotland. Dundee is the home of the V&A's first design building out with London. So there's a lot going on in the space in the area.
Love it. Love it. So shall I just give a brief intro? I think it was either the 2nd or the 7th of August. And listen carefully, ladies and gents, to what I say to you, the words. On that day, I called Lindsay. Now, I hadn't spoken to Lindsay for over 2 years. Lindsay had been a client previously with one of my coaches, actually. I hadn't really worked personally with Lindsay. I make a point every week of calling people, just calling people. I mean, I don't get the telephone directory, if there was such a thing anymore. You people are far too young to remember. Back in the day, there used to be something called a telephone directory. Anyway, I call people that we've previously worked with, that I know, that da-da-da-da-da, all of that. Or maybe I don't know that well, but I call people. And I called Lindsay on that day. And Lindsay said, it's a really good day for you to call, because it's not such a great time for me, but I'd love to speak with you. And Lindsay came on board within that hour as a client again. And what we looked at was how Lindsay could increase the revenue for her beautiful gallery. And I'm going to just hand it over to you, Lindsay, because time is of the essence. And then when Lindsay goes, what I can do is I can distill and pull out and point out strategies that you can apply for yourself. So over to you, Lindsay. What's been the impact, maybe first of all, of generating the 25 and the 52K?
Okay, well, it's been a huge impact. If I reflect back to that day with Fiona, I was expecting someone else to call at that time. And I was a bit surprised that it wasn't the courier that was delivering some artwork here. And it was Fiona. And it was just like, oh, okay, let me have a think. I didn't think that long about the situation. And I thought, yes, I need to do something, because I knew myself that if I didn't do something soon, I wouldn't be sitting in this lovely gallery because it wasn't going to exist at the end of this year. I just knew that because I just knew the way the revenue was sitting and my income and expenditure. I'd got all that. So I decided to jump with Fiona and get on board. And it's the best decision that I've ever made. I didn't expect, Fiona, we did talk initially about, okay, let's think about 50,000. And for me, that was like, no, I'm never going to do that, never. But I leapt in with both feet. I got out of my comfort zone and I started to speak to people on the phone. You know, it was like, a bit like Fiona does. And it was very, very uncomfortable. But I just kept going because I knew that ultimately I'm going to get the people that I need to talk to. And I did. So how does it feel today? It feels like I can now sit here and enjoy the moment and not worry about the future. I can just be in the moment today and going forward because I know that right now I know what I need to do. I know I've got a strategy, I've got support to allow me to increase my revenue.
Yeah. What do you think was the, and by the way, you know, I gave that figure to Lindsay. It wasn't plucked out of the sky. It's not a figure that I might necessarily give to everyone, but really looking at Lindsay's situation and what was possible, I absolutely felt it was entirely possible if she was willing to do what it took. And what it took was Lindsay doing something that she had perhaps never done before.
No, not actively, no.
No. So what I'm talking about is that direct approach, old school approach of directly reaching out to people. And it did not feel comfortable, Lindsay, in the first instance.
No, and I can talk, I can absolutely talk, but phone feels very different than even just face to face with a wall of people today is much easier than phone, because these people I were phoning, even though I'd spoken to them in the past and we'd maybe made a sale a long time ago, I didn't know them. I don't know them really that well. So there was an uncomfortable unease with me, but it was wonderful. One person said, "Oh, I can't believe you phoned me today. How wonderful. Send me what you've got. I need to see it." That subsequently made a sale, one of the ones on the back wall.
Oh, lovely. How much? Do tell.
That one on the back wall is £5,000.
Wow. What did it feel like to get your first yes, your first sale? And how long did that take? How many calls? How long?
It probably, I spent a bit of time looking at my target audience, but I probably had about 10 calls, some of them no responses before I got that call that said, "Hey, great to hear from you." There was also an email because there was a time difference and I knew one of my clients I had to speak through email, and that was probably within a couple of days of chatting with Fiona. I had this email response going and we were conversing and things were happening.
And what was your first sale? How much was that?
It was 5,400.
And 20 pence. Only joking. And how the dickens did that feel when that person said yes, and then perhaps the money landed in your account?
I probably danced around this gallery at that point. I dance in here often. I'd forgotten how to dance for a little bit, but I've got my dance back. It felt good. It felt good because the client was really pleased. And I'd forgotten how I made people feel. He was over the moon that I'd got in touch again. Like, "Where have you been? You know, what can you do for me?" kind of thing. So that felt good.
I mean, the thing I love about you, Lindsay, and the thing that probably resonates for everyone here is you're as far from a salesy person as one could get. Can everybody see that? She's a flipping arty-farty person. She's not a salesy person. But what Lindsay is she's very passionate and very connected to the impact that art can make to your mood, to your environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just about the sale, it's about keeping the gallery going, about keeping the work going. And I think what you're beginning to see now, Lindsay, is truly what's possible for you in the world.
Yeah. I'm not frightened anymore. Frightened's maybe the wrong word. I am very willing and eager and keen to get out there because I know that I can take Tatha Gallery to wherever I want it to go. Yeah.
You can take your expertise as an expert on Scottish art into the world, into the US, into the wider world, and step into those shoes of being an expert.
Yeah.
So making money isn't just about the money, it's about what it makes off you to make the money. I want you all to see that and hear that. It's what it makes off you. It's what it calls forth. It's like the Jim Rohn thing. It's not the goal necessarily. It's what it calls out of you to make that goal happen. Put some questions, ladies and gents, in the chat box, and I can put them directly to Lindsay to make sure that whatever questions you have, whatever you're curious about, that we are getting covered. The mindset thing, just while you're doing that, the mindset thing was very important right at the beginning, Lindsay, because remember, guys, we're living in interesting times when you can't open a flipping newspaper or turn on the radio, but you're going to hear the word recession or depression, or take your pick, whatever version of those. And you've got to be extremely careful how your mind is working because of this climate that we're in. So do you remember, Lindsay, you said something to me and I said, stop, don't even go there. Do not even go there. If you go there, it's all over. We're finished.
Yeah, so before this, the 8th of August, my mindset for the last month was, oh, there's no money out there. This is doom. Nothing's ever going to happen. And just by talking with Fiona, flipping my mindset, it says, you know what? I know that, and you know what? I actually knew there was money out there, even though I kept saying myself, but it's that if I keep telling myself there's no money, I'm never going to get anywhere. So I completely flipped that. And I've now got this mindset that says, I know there's money out there. I just need to spend time finding it. And I do. Yeah.
Because think about it, ladies and gents, you could easily be off a mindset that says, who the heck is buying art?
Yeah.
In these times? It's like, hello? Is it bread and butter? Is it a roof over your head? No, it isn't. People can live without it. So the mindset is everything,
Yeah.
Because if you have that mindset, you can't pick up the phone. You've just defeated yourself before you open your mouth, and you're not going to open your mouth. Go on, Lindsay.
I think one of the important things around that mindset for me as well is it's completely, I'm very comfortable talking to people, but it's completely shifted the way I approach people. I'm not a pushy person. I will not let people come in here and jump on them and feel they've got to buy something. I don't operate that way. But my conversations are different. I'm stronger and more open to opportunities that I wouldn't have had before. I wouldn't have thought that way because my mindset was going, oh, no, life's bad. So by changing that, it's actually made me feel much better about how I just even chat with people. And I think that's really, really important. It's not just about the actual sale, it's the conversations round. Always in my mind, is there an opportunity here? What can I do? How do I need to work this? I'm always looking at that now.
Sensational. It's almost like you've been free to become the person that you actually really are.
Yeah, that's it. My wings have been clipped.
Which is this freed up, enthusiastic person who's so passionate and clear about the impact your work, the work, brings to other people. And what happens when you get this going is you get into a momentum. And momentum starts to build. Probably that first yes is the hardest place because you're having to operate with faith, with just blind faith, and me telling you, keep going. It's going to work. It's just a numbers game. Keep going. So until you get that first yes, that can be a tough place. But once you get that first yes, once you get that first result, it's a game changer. It's a game changer. And I think it was you, Lindsay. No, it was actually another client who got a result very quickly overnight. And I just remember texting, game changer. When that happens, as long as you keep going, life will never be the same. You know, you got to be careful. And obviously, you know, get yourself in. Accountability is very important, because if you get a result and then you go back to your old way of thinking or behaving, you might just think, well, that was a glitch. I got lucky. So you don't want to have that happen. You always want to make sure that you're in a place of accountability and support where you continue on that path. You're building a new path. You're not going back to the old path. Chris, that's a really great question. She's wondering, were they brand new clients? Were they people that you had sold to before?
I'm going through that whole list. You can see my little wheels working.
Yes.
A number of them were clients who most of them were clients I'd sold to before, but I'd sold a number of years ago, so I hadn't reconnected with them. Yeah. But also in talking with them, I also chatted to them about spreading the word and talking to their friends and associates and whoever to let them know what I can do here. Yeah.
Sensational. So I remember saying to you, okay, so do you have phone numbers of people who have bought from you previously? You're like, I don't know, really. I don't know. I'd have to check. Emails, yes, definitely. So you amassed as many phone numbers as you could. And I do remember you saying, but what am I going to say to them? I said, you're going to say, hello, this is Lindsay. How are you? It's been a while. It's like you get to behave like a human being, guys. You get to have a natural human conversation. And I just wanted to let you know that X and Y, and I wanted to check up and see how you're doing with that and whether there's da-da-da. So it's just a natural conversation. By the way, I actually, having said it's a natural conversation, I know a lot of people struggle with this. And certainly for you coaches and consultants, I have a whole script that I teach on this. It's not like you're going to read a script, but it's a framework. But essentially I said, let's look at the people who have either bought the most from you or bought most recently, or you feel some connection to. In other words, who are the easiest people? Let's not start at the hardest place. Let's start at the easiest place for people for you to reach out to. And I mean, you did have to scratch your head. It wasn't like there was some list just sitting there for you to call, right?
No. It was really interesting though, going back, because obviously I keep all records for provenance for every sale that's ever happened. But it was really interesting going back and looking at my assumptions, because I hadn't actually spent an awful lot of time drilling into the numbers. My assumptions were well wrong. And the clients that I hadn't realised had actually given into the gallery, hadn't even thought about them. So it's fascinating just being able to drill down. And I do get phone numbers all the time. Now, I've still got, I mean, it's amazing the amount of phone numbers I find just get. But it does make a difference that the voice connection, huge difference. Yeah.
Well, it's the direct approach, you see. It's the direct approach. Just got another question. Okay. How did you find, so Chris is saying, how did you find people responded to being called up out of the blue? People are so busy these days, you almost feel you need to make an appointment to have a chat. Did you ask whether they had time to talk, or did you just dive in?
That's a good question. It was a mixed bag, to be honest. And that's why I just had to keep going, because some people were like, oh, because some people didn't answer. So if they didn't answer the phone, I didn't leave a message, I didn't do anything. Someone called me back and said, you phoned me. I said, oh yeah, it's Lindsay at Tapa. So a couple of conversations, not getting away from it, were strained. But the majority of them, I just went and said, hi, it's Lindsay from Tapa. How are you doing? And they were happy to chat. And then I said to them, I've got this artist coming in that I know you love. And as soon as you say that, like, oh, okay. I haven't released anything yet, but I wanted you to be one of the first to know. and there's a hook there already, so that really helped. But I won't hide behind anything. Some of them were, oh, they were tough, and I thought, oh, I didn't like that conversation. But I didn't stop me. I kept going, because out of 20 calls, I'm going to get 4 or 5 great responses, and that's okay. Just keep going and persevering. Yeah.
That's an interesting thing you just said, Lindsay. Do you know what would be so interesting? And you might know the figures. Wouldn't it be interesting to know how many calls it took to make £52,000?
Yeah, I don't even know that. Yeah.
Have a look at that sometime, because that would be so interesting, my love. Or even in the first 2 weeks when you made 25K.
Yeah.
How many calls do you think that you made in that first 2 weeks?
Now, I did have that figure for those calls, and I don't have it in front of me. I'm a bit of a stato sometimes, and I do sit and analyse numbers for some. Yeah.
It's good to know your numbers.
It is good to know your numbers. And,
yeah.
I do have it somewhere, and that's really going to annoy me, because I'm going to have to. I've got 4 minutes. Folks.
You've got to go, darling.
There's no pressure. It's okay. I've locked the door anyway. I'll open the window. There'll be a big queue. I'm kidding. There won't be. I do have someone coming in this morning, though, who's reserved a couple of pieces, and we're just going to seal that deal this morning.
Beautiful. Listen to that, people. I love it. I love it. You look so well, by the way, I've got to tell you.
Thank you. I've been up since 3:30 this morning. My son's, so I'm faking it right now. My son's getting married in North Carolina next weekend, so he's flying out today, and we're flying out in the middle of the week. So he left, it was the first leg, so I'm quite emotional today. I'm like, my boy's gone. So 3:30, and it's only 10:30.
Oh my God, girl. If you can get through till 4:30, 5 to
It'll be fine. I've got coffee, I've got bananas. I'll be fine.
You'll be fine. All right, gorgeous. Listen, get you off.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you really soon.
You are most welcome. Have a great day, folks. Nice to see you all.
Thank you, my love.
Thank
Fantastic.
you.
Bye, darling. Thank you. Well, ladies and gents, wasn't that just fascinating? Isn't that just the best? What are you hearing? I'm going to distill. Distill? Is there such a word? No, that's Sasha Distel. I'm going to distill. That's it. Exactly what she did. You've heard it anyways. But what are your questions? What are you hearing? And feel free. I'm going to just sort of go through these strategies, and then I'm going to take some questions from you. That's what I'm going to do. So, first of all, everybody take a beautiful breath in and out. Just let go of everything that's been on for you today, this morning, this week, everything up until now. Making money is easy. Making money is easy. There's no shortage of money. There is a shortage of imagination, perhaps. Is no shortage of money. These are just distinctions that I'm giving you to take on board. Let me just give you a couple of strategies. So start off with the mindset first of all. It's imperative that you examine your mindset and you clear away anything that could stop you from being of service and getting your service out into the world. We make it complicated, guys. We make it very complicated. And in many ways, social media encourages us to make it complicated, because we think about, that funnel and this pipeline and all sorts of malarkey. I'm very fortunate in that I grew up in a non-internet age, and I built my business in a non-internet age. So what I did that worked was old school, direct approach. And that's what's going to make you money and get you clients and build your business faster than anything else. And by the way, you will stand apart and you will stand out from others because others are doing that stuff over there. You, a small number of us, are taking this braver, courageous, direct approach. Is this making sense? Everybody else is doing the LinkedIn and the pipeline and the this, that, and the other. And you are just taking this direct approach. So Clear away anything that could confuse your mind or defeat you from the word go. Secondly, do exactly what I did with Lindsay, which is to make a list of people that you could reach out to and speak to and find out how they're doing and offer your service or product. Doesn't matter whether you're offering a painting or a service. You are connecting. You're finding out what's going on for them and looking at how you may be able to help. When I teach this, I teach it in two ways. I teach to do a reach out and then to set up the conversation separately. But look, if it works to do there and then, you could do that too. But I generally, put time aside to set up those calls and then have those deeper conversations about how you might be able to help. So we're talking about that reach out, that direct reach out. Everybody knows people. We're talking about past clients. We're talking about people that you may have connected with somewhere or other. Ask people to refer you to others. Notice that Lindsay said that. She said to people, and also, if you know of anyone who would be interested in this, my service, I would be so happy to have a conversation with them. And thinking about it, I know that I absolutely know that Lindsay had 2 sales that came to 10K from that, from saying to someone, I'm here, I'm available, super happy to chat, very happy to help. Others, who may be interested. And 2 people came as a result of that. So what are you hearing? The other thing, I'll be honest, that makes a huge difference when you're doing something that's a little bit different, perhaps, that feels a little bit challenging, of course, is to have support. Of course, is to have accountability. Otherwise, it can feel very lonely. And you could have a setback with perhaps one call, one conversation that stops you in your tracks and could just throw you. So, whether it's with me or whether it's with someone else or whether it's in a mastermind, it will make a big difference if you have that structured support to keep going. So what are you hearing? What are your questions? Feel free to just come through. We haven't got a huge group here, so feel free to just come through with any questions. Put them in the chat there and I'll answer them. Or just unmute yourself. What are you hearing? While you do that, I'm just going to remember to do one thing, otherwise I'll forget.
What I'm hearing is that I have to clear my mind from all the negatives that would hold me back, so that I can have a plan in going forward and contacting clients. And what you've done for me now is I was thinking that I wanted to contact my ex-boss to see whether if there are any workers that would want to be referred to me. And I was thinking along that, oh, I couldn't do that, I can't do that, I can't do that, I can't do that, I don't want to do that. But now you're saying, overcome all of those kind of negatives, go for it, regardless if you get a knockback or not, just keep going. And that's what I think I'm getting from you today.
I love that. Is it Charlene? Am I saying that right?
Yes, yes.
Wonderful. So what's the service that you offer? What's the problem that you solve?
I have just completed the coaching training and NLP, and I was tossing with my niche. What is it I want for my niche? But this morning, I sat down and I was thinking, I have helped social workers. I'm an ex-social worker. Good. I've helped social workers. I've worked with students, social work students, currently I have 7 students that I'm working with. And I'm thinking, why am I struggling with a niche? Because it's in front of me, but I can't see it. What I wanted to work with was parents whose children are attending camps. But that's not working for me because the parents don't have money. I know what you said about money. They don't have money to pay, and the school doesn't want to pay. But I have opened the door by working with students, connecting with the universities, connecting with social services. And I'm saying, why am I struggling for a niche? I've got it. I just need to put it together.
Beautiful. So what's that? How do you translate that direct approach, Charlene, to your situation? Who can you reach out to and begin to have that conversation?
From what I heard this morning, I've just retired from social care. And I know quite a few. I retired from the post of management. So I've got colleagues. And I was thinking of writing to my boss as the first step to say, hey, this is what I'm doing. How are you? And all of that. But I couldn't get the letter together. So now you're saying, pick up the phone and make that conversation and see where it takes me. So that would be my first. I was struggling with an introductory letter. I've been going up and down with it. It's not coming together.
Let me give it to you right now. So first of all, absolutely take that direct approach, pick up the phone. Remember, very few people are going to do this. Most people are terrified of this. So the very fact that you do it, that we do it, sets you apart. It also shows how confident you are. And what do people really want these days? They want to feel more confident. They want to feel bolder. And if we're embodying and conveying that quality, it's extremely attractive. And it's very reassuring for people, especially if we're offering ourselves in terms of a service. It shows that we have a confidence, frankly, and a boldness in what we do. Is this making sense, guys? Please give me a thumbs up. Am I talking to myself here? So please bear that in mind. And I'm going to tell you in a moment about a young girl who was about 25 at the time when I spoke to her. The most amazing girl. And she built a business, which is now a very big business, from 20 phone calls. 20 phone calls. I'll tell you who that is in a second. And by the way, before I forget, I put the link to my calendar in here. So if I haven't already spoken to y'all, I will jump on a call this week and I will have a conversation with you and I will show you where that 5K is. So for you. So Charlene, if you are reaching out, keep it conversational. Keep it very simple. And I would say nothing more than this. Hi, da. I hope you're well. Put a line in that perhaps references the last time you saw them, how you know them. It's been X time, or I last saw you at X. And I just wanted to cut to the chase. Nobody needs a flipping, war and peace. Nobody needs, nonsense like, hey, let's have a chat. Find out what you're doing. I tell you what, I mean, really, come on, let's just cut to the chase. I wanted to let you know what I'm doing in case that might be of use to you. Be so happy to jump on a call, have a chat with you. Now then, I like to be very straight. I like to move things along. I don't know if I'm an impatient person, but I just like to move things along. So I will always put a time in. I will always say something like, how's 2 o'clock tomorrow? How's 2 o'clock onwards tomorrow? I might put a link to my diary link in as well, like this. I might say, or check my diary. Either way, let's speak soon. Do you see? Nothing more than that. Guys, we're human beings in the name of God. You're just having a natural conversation. Is this making sense, Shirlene? It's
Mhm.
that simple. That simple. Thank you, my darling. Come through and let's talk this week. Click on that link and I'll talk to you, right?
Okay.
Awesome. Who else has questions? What's landing for you? What are you hearing? Let me tell you about that girl that I mentioned to you just now. And then please put your questions in. We'll finish on time. I have a client at top of the hour, so I have to finish on time. So yeah, I spoke to this girl a few years ago. I was interviewing for her for a book or something. And I said, she was telling me about how she got the business started. So the business, don't look it up now, but make a look later, is called the Detox Kitchen. The Detox Kitchen now has its own range of foods, which you'll find in Harvey Nicks. And it's got its own standalone store in just off Regent Street in London. It's got a store in New York. Venture capitalists have invested in it. It's big. It's big. So that started with 20 phone calls. It was started by a girl called Lily Simpson. I mean, I think she's still a girl. I could call her still a girl today. I think she was about 24, 25 when I spoke to her. So I said, tell me about it. How'd you get started? Now, she's not a formally trained anything. She's not a formally trained chef or cook or anything. And she said, well, I was working in the City of London, just doing like admin stuff, an executive assistant or something or other. And she said, a friend said to me, Lily, you're so good at food and cooking and everything. I would love to lose weight. Do you think that you would just make food for me for a week? I mean, I'll pay you for it, of course. She said, yeah, I guess. I said, but yeah, okay, yeah. And her friend at the end of the week said, do you think you would do this again next week? And after a week or two, Lily suddenly thought, jeepers creepers, people are actually paying me to do this. Now, Lily had an interest, obviously, in food and cooking. And she used to do all the food cooking at home when her parents divorced. Her mum worked full time, wasn't really interested in food and cooking. So Lily used to do it all, right? And was genuinely interested in it all. So Lily said to her friend, do you know anybody else who might be interested in that? So word of mouth. And then Lily thought to herself, do you know what? I think I've got something here. I think I've got the makings of a business. Do you know what she did? This is the folly of youth. This is someone who's so young, she hasn't learned not to do this. Like that there's a right way to do things. She just called up people like Elle Macpherson, Sophie Dahl, Lisa Snowden. Take your pick. Any celebrity you like, any female celebrity. That's who she called up. She called up their agents and she said, hello, my name's Lily Simpson. And I'm just wondering, I would be so happy to provide fresh, healthy, wholesome food for Elle for a week. And I will deliver to her door, wherever she happens to be, for a week, completely free. And all I ask in return is that if Elle or Lisa Snowden or Sophie Dahl, or take your pick, if they like what they've had, that they would just give me an endorsement. That's all. It was that simple. And she kept going until she had enough people saying yes. Not everybody said yes. So I said to her, that's remarkable. I mean, that's just remarkable. She said, really? I said, no, it is. Believe me, it is. Most people wouldn't do that. Really? I said, yeah. Most people would think, no, wait a minute. Well, who am I to do that? I mean, aren't they going to go, wait a minute, who are you? Do you know Elle Macpherson charges for stuff like this? Other people would think, well, maybe I need to do a PowerPoint presentation. Is this making sense, guys? Anybody recognize themselves here? I said, trust me, people would do that. So I said, most people would just hate that idea of making that direct approach. Were you not anxious about, being rejected, or somebody saying, just being rude to you and saying, who the heck are you? She said, well, I tell you why I have no fear of rejection. Listen carefully to this, guys. No fear of rejection. If you get over that, you've probably just sorted your life out. And I said, tell me. And she said, well, for a year, I worked as a chugger. I think I'm saying that right. Do you know what I'm talking about, guys? Those people who stand outside tube stations, say, hello, would you have a moment? And they have a clipboard, and then they try and get you to sign up to make a direct debit to Oxfam or some charity or other, right? She said, so I did that for a year. Best training in the world for getting over rejection, because I had people literally spit in my face, say, fuck off on a regular basis, get out of my way, etc., etc. And she said, think about it. Is that going to happen on a phone call, in a conversation? What's the worst that's going to happen? Nobody can spit down my face on the phone. Worst thing that happens is that I want it, I put it down, and I keep going. Can you see that, guys? Please apply that to yourself. If we all get over our fear of what people think, that fear of rejection, just think what could be possible. And she said, I just knew all I needed was a couple of yeses. And that celebrity endorsement absolutely catapulted her business overnight to the global business that it is today. So look, we're going to finish in a second. It's been great to be with you. Please tell me if this is useful for you. What are you hearing? What are you going to take from this? What are you going to apply? What's landing for you? We got Vanessa, we got Elizabeth, we got Chris, we've got lovely Sam, who I'm speaking to on Tuesday. Sam, super excited about that. We've got Jillian, we've got Alison, we've got Sophie. We have got Danny and Charlene, of course, and David there, and Paul there. Yeah. So quick question, and we'll finish up in a couple of minutes. What's landing for you?
I had a quick question, so
Yes,
that's okay, Fiona?
Yeah, of course.
Obviously, I mean, this has been brilliant in terms of just the thinking and the mindset and just the approach. And I guess just the only quick question I had about like what you said in terms of keeping it conversational. I just want to reach out and let you know what I'm doing in case it might be useful. Would you tell them what you're doing in order to get them to want to have that call with you? So I'm doing X, and then you like have a a little sentence or something that just kind of quickly describes what you're doing so that they'll want to have a call with you.
Yeah, definitely. That I'm now doing X and working with, just a sentence. It's just a conversational sentence. Yeah. And I thought that might be of interest to you, and I'd be delighted to have a chat with you if that's of any interest to you. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
What was it that you heard that maybe in what Lindsay was saying, Chris, that landed for you, that was most useful or interesting?
I think it was kind of like the more she did it, the more comfortable she got with it. And she was actually pleasantly surprised that, oh, actually, some of these people are really happy that I reached out to them. And I guess that's something, because, my first thought is, oh, people, as I say, people are so busy, you feel like, oh God, as soon as you pick up the phone to them, you're going to have to immediately say, have you got a minute? Because everyone's doing, I don't know, it seems to have changed, because once upon a time, you wouldn't think twice about just calling somebody out the blue. It seemed like the social norm. And now it sort of feels like that's shifted, and it feels somehow a bit braver to be kind of disruptive and just call them and interrupt them, because obviously you have no idea what they're going to be doing when you call. But yeah, I guess what I'm hearing is, what, as you say, what's the worst that can happen? You'll arrange another time to talk to them, or they won't pick up the phone because they're busy, or you just keep going. So it feels simpler, less risky.
And yes, of course. And if they're super busy, you're really just reaching out. In the first instance, it's a reach out call. For the sort of coaching consulting that you do, especially Chris, you might be saying, well, look, great. So why don't we put aside a time and I can have a proper chat with you. We can talk properly, and I'll let you know what it looks like and just find out what's going on for you. How are you fixed tomorrow, 2 onwards? And just get something in the diary. And then you know that they've put that time aside. But don't overthink it, guys. You know, if somebody's busy, they're going to say, I'm just in the car, I'm just getting out of the car, I can't do this now. But, and, you know, honestly, if I think about, you know, I do this all the time. I reach out to people all the time. And I can think of one call in the past 6 weeks where someone had said, oh, I've just had some bad news about my mother or something. And I immediately said, absolutely, just go and do what you need to do. Go, absolutely. And we'll talk another time. But honestly, that was like one call out of, in over a month, 6 weeks. Lindsay was driving when I called her. She said, I'm driving, but I would love to talk to you. And she literally pulled over, said, let me pull over, find somewhere safe to speak. So, yeah, absolutely. Does that help, Chris?
Yes.
Excellent. So what else are you hearing? And Vanessa, I see your comment there. That's great, Vanessa. Absolutely. Yeah. You know, it's about adapting and having it work for your particular area, And also, if somebody is going to be really rude to you, you take them off your list, because there's no need to be rude. There's no need, there's no excuse. So if somebody's really rude and unpleasant, that's a good way of, you know, checking out who's on your list, as it were. And you take them off your list and you don't call them again. But I'm telling you, it's extremely rare. Extremely rare. And most of the people, the vast majority of people that Lindsay reached out to were thrilled, surprised, because she'd never called anybody before. She'd never called anyone before. These were people, some of them who'd bought a painting from her 3 years ago. She said, I'm just reaching out. Because I said to her, Lindsay, do you know what? It's actually just good customer service. Think about it. Somebody buys something from you 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 18 months ago, 6 months ago. Isn't it good customer service to say, how is that going? How's that working? It's just good customer service. And everyone, once they go over the surprise that she was calling, was pleasantly surprised. Now, very surprised and delighted. And they felt, in fact, quite special that she had reached out. One person in the States had moved house, and he said, this is great, because I'm sitting in this house with white walls, nothing on the walls. I said, that's great. And she consulted with what he could put on those walls. And I think that sale was at least 10. At least 10. So this has been great. I so look forward to speaking with you. Some of you I know already, and some of you I'm speaking with next week. And, you know, I'll let you into a little secret. I am working on something that's going to be super affordable. That's a club. It's an ongoing training so that I can work with you in a closer way and provide an environment of encouragement and accountability and support and guidance and direction, so I can give you, you know, guidance and support and accountability to do stuff. Because if you want to get a different result, something bigger, you're going to have to go bigger than you have before. And my experience of people who get a little bit of help from me is that they expand and they get a great result in that time. And maybe they feel they can't afford to work with me personally on a longer basis. I understand that. But my experience is that people, and actually this is probably true of any coach, of any mentor, but my experience is that people go back to their old ways very, very easily, very easily. So what I want to do is create an environment of expansion where you are with people who are going for it, who are not listening to the media and the conditioning that's out there, because if you do, that's not going to lead to a good place. It's not going to lead to a good place. I think I'll have it ready for the 3rd or 4th week in October. So make sure that you're in touch with me if you're interested in that. I'm calling it the 5K Club. So it's about creating consistent income. Whether for some of you, that's more than 5K a month. I totally understand that. But for a great many people, you've got to get to that 5K consistently per month and then go beyond that. So yeah, keep in touch with me on that. All right, my darlings, listen, I better go. Oh, you're so welcome, Vanessa. Thank you. Bless you. Yeah. And Jillian, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, just seeing all your comments there. All right, guys, fantastic. Have an amazing day. Take something from this. Go out and apply it quickly. I'm a huge believer in taking something and applying it, getting into action as soon as possible. So take one itsy bitsy thing and get into action straight away. Even if you make one call, seriously, or even if you send out one message to someone, take it and run with it, right? All right, my darlings, absolutely great to spend this time with you. I'll stop the recording now. Thank you so much for being here. Absolutely.